an agent who led his company in persistency with life insurance sales, made up his mind he was going to marry the vice president's daughter. Thing is, the vice president's daughter didn't like him. But he knew how to be persistent. He began an extensive direct mail campaign, supplemented by several phone calls and face-to-face interviews. Soon he stepped up his direct mail program, sending her special delivery letters for 47 days. On the 48th day, his persistency produced results. She married the mailman. Sometimes the target of our effort produces unintended results. Targeting profit over people, targeting support of tax cuts for the rich over health care for the masses, targeted not voting because of the need to show disdain for a process, disagreement because of a color of skin, or just a desire to pout. As we go forward into this next few years with those who would like to make vanish the holiday that just passed, one that was adopted and first celebrated in 1776 with bell ringing and fireworks, later made into an unpaid federal holiday, and then some 90 years later, it became a holiday, 1938, a paid holiday. It can be said that the protest of No King's Day was a resounding statement that the majority of the people of the United States of America desire to continue to celebrate and expand individual independence into the next year's 250th year milestone and beyond. Now, while 250 years would be several lifetimes for most of us, anthropology has traced various forms of human species back millions of years, which includes our human search for that which is greater than ourselves as well. The agricultural revolution that occurred only the last 10,000 years, and the building of cities and language, written language, only 5,000 years. We are modern humans, and we've been around for about 300,000 years. And our human-like ancestors walked the earth for millions of years. There has always been a creative, intuitive presence, an undivine force of power that supported the making of tools as well as survival and more, all for our early upright walking ancestors. A spirit of creativity, a spirit of survival, are a couple of the aspects of the subject of today's talk, spiritual freedom, spiritual independence, which encompasses survival, creativity, and actions like expansion and progress. Expansion that moved our species beyond their originating land of Africa, and progress, a progress that moved the human race from wanderers into agricultural revolution. The spirit, we have to turn the mic off. Okay, thank you. The spiritual freedom that is a concept that runs through many of the world's spiritual and religious traditions. Now, it may be described in different ways: liberation, enlightenment, inner peace, union with the divine, or awakening. What is this spiritual freedom? A spiritual freedom demonstrated by what was estimated as 100,000 marchers and protesters in Hungary in defiance of the ban on Budapest Pride Day. I think I need a little water on that one, Budapest. Even after Viktor Orban took various actions to dissuade participants, I mean, he actually had cameras around the city taking pictures of faces and saying that you would be prosecuted. They still had 100,000 people that marched. In fact, they said that the march was the biggest show of opposition to the prime minister. And from Reuters, we get this statement about the march from one of the marchers. And what they said is that this is about much more than just homosexuality. This is the last moment to stand up for our rights. This is an example of a show beyond physical strength, something much deeper than being action driven by defiance, but driven by an unseen power, an innate forward-moving unseen power of the desire to practice the freedom of choice or spiritual independence. Something that every human being has been endowed with by their Creator. Christianity speaks of spiritual independence like this: you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Buddhism says that when a person is free from attachment and desire, they are truly free. Hinduism says spiritual freedom is the realization of the self as one with the infinite, transcending illusions. Islam states that spiritual freedom comes not from autonomy, but from aligning with the peace and surrender of God, Allah, freeing oneself from the bondage of ego and materialism. Judaism's Passover commemorates physical and spiritual liberation. Taoism, spiritual freedom is found in the flow with life, letting go of force, control, and ego, becoming one with nature and the rhythm of the universe. And the indigenous and the African spiritual traditions, spiritual freedom is not separate from the world, but harmony with it, knowing one's place in the community of life. Sounds kind of familiar. It sounds like something you guys practice here, doesn't it? I got one. Dave is saying yes. Everybody else is like, I don't know. And then in our practice, New Thought, Metaphysics, Christianity, spiritual freedom is awakened through the use, the conscious use of the mind to align with spiritual law. A primary thread through all of these, all of them, is the thing that the human being has to awaken to the divine light within them and transcend the illusion of duality. Well, the fact is, how can we experience this inner divine light awakening? Because that's what it's all about. All that other stuff is good, but how does it affect me, right? How does it affect me, right? Yes. Okay. You know I'm going to do it, so it's just, well, we have to move from that duality into the truth of oneness. We are one with each other. We're one with the Creator. We're one with all that there is. So the first thing we have to do is recognize the idea of spiritual freedom. It can be found in various expressions throughout religion. We just went through that, so we know it's there. But even more important is our acceptance that this spiritual freedom is not simply an idea, but a reality. A reality available to each and every one of us. A reality that we have seen expressed in the many religions examined today, no matter what our own spiritual practice is. And reality that was real to those marchers in Budapest. That spiritual freedom. And then finally, incorporating our focus on awakening our own individual light, the hardest thing to do. I can sit up here and tell you guys all the right things to do. You can go out tomorrow and say, he told us and it was successful. And guess what? I'm sitting in the corner trying to figure out at home how to do it myself. There was a wonderful cartoon that my late sister sent me. I can't give you the cartoon because it's very vulgar. Very vulgar, very vulgar. But in essence, what it says is that the reason that the minister can share all this with you is because they've gone through so much themselves. This oneness that we want to incorporate is not something we can just do on Sundays. We have to find a way, or we should find a way. It would be great if we could find a way to incorporate it into our daily practice, be it prayer, meditation, just getting up in the morning and saying, thank you, God, whatever it might be. Thank you, Allah. Thank you, Creator. Recognition. Spiritual freedom is our freedom. Acceptance. We are worthy of expressing that freedom in our life experience right now. And finally, working to integrate that awakened oneness into our spiritual practice. 3 steps. Sounds kind of easy until you try it. Until you try it. One of an author that I just recently read, and he reminded us, and I believe it was a he, reminded us that you're going to slip and you're going to slide, and the only thing you can do is try again. And that's about our spiritual practice, and not talking about our jobs or our relationships, but in our spiritual practice. Because sometimes we think that I didn't pray today, or I didn't meditate today, or I didn't whatever my practice is today, and I feel a little off. It's okay to feel off, he said, but just remember to do it the next day. Just keep on going. Don't stop because you slipped. And we have to remember that. We can't stop because we slipped. Getting back to voting, we can't stop because we slipped one time. We have to keep it going. See, we are spiritually free no matter the restraints an unrestrained government is working to impose upon us, impose upon the country that elected them to govern. We have a right to celebrate as well as demonstrate our spiritual independence in spite of whatever congressional bills are passed. No matter the small attitude of those that rule, we should remember ourselves that we are truly the ones we need right now. And that is the spiritual independence we have the power to express, to help redirect the path of our country. Or we can expect some of the same, some of what some people would call dark days ahead. It's not about choice, it's about the responsibility which falls on each of us. It's not about choice, it's about the responsibility that falls on each of us. We should all be saying, never again, never again, never again. Thank you for letting me share this time with you today. Namaste.
Visit us at UUSG.org.